Okay, what do we got next? Twyford Irrigators Group, Jerf van Beek. Have I got it wrong? Yarif.
That's right.
We'll give you another 30 seconds for that.
Might not need it.
That mangle. Yeah, okay.
It is.
Welcome anyway.
Thank you. Sheriff for the J. Jerf. That's how it goes. Okay. Good. Once again, I won't go through my submission, but thank you very much for the time. Just as a background, there's quite a few here. I'm also involved in the tank group, which I must say is a very beneficial, collaborative approach to the water issues that we have on the Heretaunga Plains, and especially in the tank region. And once again, all due respect for the staff that we work with. It's great. Okay, what I would like to do is go. I'll start on point 2 of my submission, where we talk about a flow measuring site. To connect a low flow site which cannot be influenced by irrigators' behaviour has to be changed. That's paramount. This will only result in poor irrigation practices. The result will be wasting water at a time when most need it. Move from low flow to stage reductions. Very important. I want to press that from a Twyford Irrigator Group, that we really would like to see stage reductions as accepted by Council in future going forward. In the unconfined zone wells, do not move with the river level, but are seasonally statistic. So what we're saying is that our wells in the unconfined zone do not actually, although they're deemed unconfined, they actually don't move with the river level. This in theory proves that this is not an unconfined zone. This hydrological concept accepted in other regions and needs to be looked at wherever there is a deemed unconfined zone. Consent conditions stipulate under technical specifications number 12 that all bores used for water supply shall be fitted with a device to allow water level and piezometric pressure monitoring to occur. So this is actually part of our consents. It hasn't been exercised. We haven't been asked to put this in place. However, Twyford Irrigator Group is moving to have all our wells in our zone fitted with these devices, either a pressured device or a dipping device. Then I move to number 3 on my submission. Over allocation of the resource when viewed from a consented volume is not factual, and unless Hawkesbury Regional Council can prove that the consented take can be realistically exercised, the model needs to change. Just as a clarification, at the moment we've got an over-allocated resource, but there just ain't enough power lines and pumps in the region to actually exercise the water that we're consented on. Okay, so never in a million years now would we be able to actually use the fully consented. So it's a tabletop exercise, just as an explanation. And even if we would go back to February 2013, while we're actually in the height of our drought, the total take would have been around about 38 to 48% of the total consented take. So that proves in itself. We were on full flight, full drought. Everybody would take water that they needed to take. So if you really think about it, we are fully over-allocated. Not over-allocated as such, because we are not able to actually extract the water that we're consented for. Okay, and these are percentages that are loosely used. I haven't seen the model, and no doubt your staff can advise you on what it actually was. But I have talked to staff who actually have seen the numbers, and they have given me approximate numbers. Okay. Economic development within the parameters of the environmental acceptable framework is being undermined due to the notion of over-allocation of the resource. Once again, we actually are actually irrigating. We're actually not using the full consent, and what that does is actually we have certain areas in Twyford that are actually not being able to be planted up or grown crops where they're really suited to. We're living on in the Heretaunga Plains, some of the most fertile lands ground in New Zealand, if not in the world. I'm an agricultural scientist, agricultural civil engineer by trade. I come from Holland, where we actually are very productive, but even in Holland, the land that we actually have reclaimed from the sea is not as productive as the land what we have here. And that's to do with the land, the water, but also climate, of course. Go to number 4. The concept of crop survival needs to be studied with urgency if we're not to lose the viability of these very productive lands on the Heritonga Plains. Number 5, Hawkesbury Regional Council has no option but to investigate and invest in the concept of global consents, another concept that Twyford Irrigator Group is pushing very hard and is gaining support from, not just from council staff, but also from our community. Iwi is definitely on board, and I'm having initial discussions with them, and they fully understand what we are trying to achieve. Global consent will enable the following: stage reductions to minimise drought effects on land and water body, management of crop survival water, more efficient use of irrigation water, increased productivity of the region. And that altogether is sustainable economic, environmental and social cultural practices are being adhered to and achieved. So far, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So, questions?
Yep.
Any questions? Councillor Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Van Beek. So what are you seeking for the council to do in the first instance? Because I know that you are in discussions with staff, and the consents have just simply been renewed in the last short time, a year or so. So what would you see the next move of council to facilitate or sort out the problems that you've raised with us? Okay.
First of all, there's 3. Just possibly there's more, but there won't be enough time for that. And so I'll go to high level. Global consent is almost a must under the pressure that we are due to the technical reports that we have to live with, which indicate that we are an over-allocated resource. While we may be over-allocated under the current thinking, a global consent actually will assist in us being able to share water if need be. And that is already seen as a sustainable way of using water. Also, a global consent gives us the ability to actually work closer with our consent holders who have actually joined in a total consent, and therefore we are able to work towards better irrigation practices, and that's something that we definitely are picking up from the tank group discussions, but also from the discussions we have amongst ourselves. And crop stage reduction, and with that comes the crop survival concept, is that we need to actually have water that is available under extreme conditions, that we're able to protect our water under crop survival. It's similar to water being available for human consumption and animal consumption. We also need to start thinking about the concept of crop survival. And if you look at my signing off on the bottom of the submission, we there talk about that trees can do with less water but not without water. And we've seen that, and the Burberrys are a case in point for that.
Can I just ask a quick question? I appreciate and actually endorse your comments around global consent. Within the whole group in the Twyford, what's the appetite? Is it 100%?
No, it's never going to be 100%. No.
How do we deal with that?
You have, if you only know landowners, they're very individualistic beasts, and you never get them all across. And that's where we would like to see assistance from council to actually give those who actually work together under global consent some advantages. I think as a community we fully understand that a global consent has got some major advantages. We would like to see that iwi will actually sit on a global consent board, I'm talking about Twyford. I'm not talking about the whole Hiratonga Plain. I can't speak for them, because we need to actually manage this resource in a collaborative way. If you would ask me about percentages, in the unconfined zone right now, which we still call the unconfined zone, hopefully we get a change in the wording of that, of the zone of that. I would say we get 100%. They're the ones who actually suffered a 6-week ban with a break in the middle. We went full out on protecting 2/3 of the Twyford region, which were the semi-confined. We only had 2 days ban. They could have been on a 6-week ban as well. And funny enough, the appetite for them is a little bit less, because what's the point? What's the issue? You know, we manage it as a global consent not to get into ban with the help of your staff. And they think, well, summer was great. You know, we spent a lot of time on the beach and we could irrigate whenever we wanted. So, unfortunately, and I would have loved to actually seen 2 weeks ban in that particular region, which wouldn't have been the right thing. And you know, if you can keep it within the room, we tried to engineer it, but it didn't work.
Thank you.
It was actually your staff who put a spanner in the work, because they in their wisdom they re-gauged the stream.
Okay. Hey, well, we're out of time. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And thank you for your very forthright presentation. It was good.